One thing that people don't know about me is that I suffer from bipolar disorder.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm not ashamed to say it
Mhm.
or share it because I believe that mental illness has a stigma that I wish would just go away.
You
I
gave
just
me goosebumps. I'm about tearing up in goosebumps because the thing is, like, when someone has heart disease or someone has liver disease or whatever, they talk about it, right?
Yes.
This thing, and I'm a mental health advocate, and I have this on everything that I do because I just saw this, and I'm going to share it with you guys because it was so amazing. I sent it to my friend. I want to quote it right. And it was a picture of Robin Williams, and it said, "People don't fake depression; they fake being okay."
I
Remember?
posted that. I posted that.
Oh, that was you?
Yes.
Grace, I didn't even know where I got it here. See, I was like, that
Yes.
was like such a goosebump post. Is that crazy? That's
That
so great.
is so funny.
And I sent it to another friend. So talk about that. Is that how it
Yes.
is when you're depressed? Are you
Yes, yes. I mean, you do. You fake being okay. You put on the facade of everything's fine, and I did that for years and years and years. I suspect that I probably started developing bipolar disorder when I was a late teenager. And
yeah.
then, like I said, all throughout college, I kept myself busy. I worked two jobs. I went to school full time. I was a compulsive exerciser. I did all these things to kind of self medicate and keep myself busy. And then, when everything came to a screeching halt, I actually had to deal with this diagnosis.
First of all, totally want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for joining in to the On Target for Success podcast. And one way that you're really helping us is not only by watching, but if you could do us the favor so that we can reach more women and help more women, if you could please subscribe, like, share, those things are huge in terms of YouTube. And that is the thing that's going to help us reach more women worldwide. So let me thank you. I know you're a busy woman, but by taking time to just hit that little like button and subscribe, you are doing your part in serving women globally. And I can't thank you enough. Here we go, everybody. Another exciting of the On Target for Success podcast. And as you know, this podcast is all about women who are successful in whatever lane they choose to be in. So it is without further ado and total excitement that I want to welcome my next guest here today, Miss Grace from Sam's Tutoring. And she is so beautiful on the inside and out, and her heart to serve, and especially those that really need it. I'm so grateful for her because she is preparing our future, the ones that are going to take care of us. So thank God for Miss Grace steering them in the right direction. So Grace, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. That was so sweet. I just love it. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, you guys, isn't her voice so sweet? You just want to, like, I want to learn from you, Miss Grace. So I always ask everyone, because I think it's so interesting. We look at other women and they look like they have it together. They're beautiful, they're smiling, they're confident. And I love that, like that song, I think it's Labyrinth. Oh, who sings that song? But he says, I want to see beneath your beautiful. And
Oh,
it's so beautiful. I can't sing, but it's like, I want to see beneath your beautiful tonight. And I was like, yeah, when I walk around, I always think about that. You never know someone's struggles by their smile or by the way they're choosing to show up at any moment. And I always think, I want to see beneath your beautiful, because that's where we become relatable, right? Is in our
true.
vulnerability, where none of us wake up in the morning without knowing that there's going to be some challenges in the day,
For sure.
and we get to welcome them, to embrace them. But I just think women, I want to encourage them to come out, because under everyone's smile, under the fake book, it's like,
Hmm.
where did they start? How did they develop these overcomer muscles? And that's what I'm excited with you to start, because you're so excited about what you're doing. And I'm like, I got to have this girl on my show,
Well,
because
thank you.
you're so organized and inspiring. And I was just like, but let's share. If someone was looking at you, they think, how could I do what Grace did? She's got it all together. But could you share a little bit about like your growing up and the story behind like what brought you to this point
What
in
brought me to this point? Well, the truth is, when I was 4 years old and they asked us to draw a picture in kindergarten of what we were going to do when we grew up, I drew myself in a red sparkly dress on a stage with 100,000 people in front of me because I was going to grow up and be the next pop diva. I mean, I
what?
was going to be the Mariah, the Whitney, I mean, that was going to be me. I love to sing and I was a songwriter. And so I mean, from the time I was 4 years old on, I was going to be Whitney Houston. But
What?
my dad is a musician, and so I watched him struggle a lot of his life. You know, he played the gigs and did all that. And so eventually it came to a point where I need to go to college and get a real job. This diva dream, you outgrow it at some point. And
Oh,
so I ended up going to college and I got my master's degree and I worked in my field for a while. And
what
then
was Grace?
my
What
my
was your
master's
yeah?
is in human nutrition, actually. So I've had all the science and the math and the English, and I've had all the basic classes, but my focus was actually human nutrition. So I worked in the field of nutrition for about 8 years. And
Wow.
then I lived in Minnesota for 25 years. And then there was a turning point in my life, kind of a big, huge the bottom fell out basically, and I moved to Missouri, and I lived in Missouri for 5 years, and then I ended up here in Arkansas where I met my husband and have been happy ever since. So we own a farm, and when I raised my daughter, I didn't work. I substitute taught, and I was actually the main substitute teacher for the special ed, and that's when I really kind of just figured out that I just loved children with special needs. And
Oh, that is
when Go ahead.
no, I just say that's so beautiful, and that's such an underserved area of
It
our
is, it
country.
is, and there's just, I have such a passion for children with special needs. I love to tutor children with special needs. It's just one of the things I love to do. But when we bought the farm, we realized we needed additional income because farming just doesn't pay what it used to, and
I
for
love
just
our
lots
farm.
of reasons. Yeah, for lots
Yeah,
of reasons, farmers are just struggling. So
I'm curious to know you. Hang on one second. So, I want to get to the part, but like you when you say the bottom fell out, what do you mean by that? The bottom fell out.
I just kind of came to a point in my life where I used to be a runner, and running was kind of how I dealt with everything. And
Oh,
I injured myself, and I couldn't run anymore. And I got my heart broken really bad. And I finished my master's, so I couldn't go because I was working two jobs and getting my master's. And so everything just came to a screeching halt. And I finally had to deal with myself.
ooh, yeah. What like what was your so all those things were happening. Did you have like that defining day? Because a lot of my guests have that moment. Like
I did have that moment
yeah,
where
what
everything just fell apart and I just couldn't do it anymore. And
when
so
when you say you couldn't do it, like were you just like take us to that scene? Like were you standing in your bedroom? Were you like just in your car? Like what was
I had just taken my master's exam to get my master's degree, and I came home and I just fell apart. I just fell apart. And it just that was it. And my mom and my sister came up from their respective states, Nebraska and Missouri, and we just all decided together that I needed to get out of Minnesota. I was the only one left in Minnesota. I was all by myself, and now I had all these things that I had relied on by staying busy, by, having my boyfriend that I thought I was going to marry and running and all these things that I had done to basically self-soothe. I didn't
mm,
have anymore.
ooh, yeah.
And so it just all came to a screeching halt and was just like, I need a change. I need a
Mm,
change. And so
mm.
I moved to Missouri,
I
started over.
But I think it's so interesting, excuse me for a moment, because I remember, and this happens a lot, and that's why I want to share. It's like there's that defining point in life.
Mhm.
And can I ask how old you were at that time?
I was 25, 26, 26, 26.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yep.
was 21 when I had mine. I was like, I just, it's like you just break, or it's just like,
Yep. I broke.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, you know, the story of the Buddha where the belly cracked and then they saw the gold underneath of it?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to crack and then the gold
Yeah,
comes out or
yeah.
something.
And
Oh,
and I've done a lot of work since then to become the woman that I am now. Just, I mean, a lot
what are
of work.
some of the things? Because I think, you know, that every little thing, like if I'm looking at you today, right? Give me
Mhm.
some steps because you're so radiant and
Oh,
impressive.
thank you.
And so, like, anything that you're like, Amy, this really helped me. I always like to share with our audience or with our listeners because it may be a tool that they've never heard of. And then they
Well,
can,
one thing that people don't know about me is that I suffer from bipolar disorder.
oh,
And
wow,
I'm
that's
not
so
I'm
funny.
not ashamed to say it
Mhm.
or share it because I believe that mental illness has a stigma that I wish would just go away.
You
I
gave me
just
goosebumps. Like I'm about tearing up and goosebumps because the thing is like when someone has heart disease or someone has liver disease or whatever, they talk about it, right?
Yes.
This thing, and I'm a health advocate, and I have this on everything that I do because I just saw this, and I'm going to share it with you guys because it was so amazing. I sent it to my friend. I want to quote it right. And it was a picture of Robin Williams, and it said, "People don't fake depression; they fake being okay."
I
Remember?
posted that. I posted that.
Oh, that was you?
Yes.
Grace, I didn't even know where I got it here. See, I was like, that
Yes.
was like such a goosebump post. Is that
Y-
crazy? That's
That
so
is
crazy.
so funny.
And I sent it to another friend. So talk about that. Is that how it
Yes.
is when you're depressed? Are you
Yes, yes. I mean, you do. You fake being okay. You put on the facade of everything's fine, and I did that for years and years and years. I suspect that I probably started developing bipolar disorder when I was a late teenager. And
yeah,
then, like I said, all throughout college, I kept myself busy. I worked two jobs. I went to school full time. I was a compulsive exerciser. I did all these things to kind of self medicate and keep
yeah.
myself busy. And then, when everything came to a screeching halt, I actually had to deal with this diagnosis. And
So
so,
I ask you because I don't know if a lot because I think on two sides always. I think if we're a loved one of someone, like what are the signs that we would know to be like, hey, maybe we want to get some help for
yeah,
you
yeah,
or like or what if someone's themselves noticing the change in them like
yeah.
interesting like you just said I think it happened so that means you were aware of changes happening but
Mhm.
who gives us the education on if this happens you might want to talk to somebody,
Well,
right?
there's lots of information out on the web, but you can be a rapid cycler where you go from high to low in a matter of weeks, or you can be just
Okay, so this is the time it's not a daily change, it's like
no, no. People
it's
who are like, "Oh, I'm having a bipolar moment." No, it doesn't work like that. It's
oh,
not a day-to-day thing. That
oh,
that would be just more mood swings. But true bipolar disorder, you can have a rapid cycler where it would be, over a couple of weeks, or it can be longer where they can be depressed for a few weeks and then kind of mellow, and then they'll get manic for a few weeks where they're, real uppity and just they make impulsive decisions. They don't sleep much. They may not eat as much. They're talking really fast. You notice differences in their demeanor. So
that's interesting. So, how did you? Because I always think about this because I've coached so many athletes and helped so many people. Like when I had a wellness practice where I
mhm.
had hypnosis and I would see like 8 to 10 people a day, and
Wow.
I worked with a psychiatrist also who could prescribe things. If I said, "Hey, I have a great doctor," and if I would pick up on things, I would say, "Why don't you go see Dr. Steven?" But from being in those shoes, I always like people to share it because it's so brave, right? I want to get rid of that stigma too. It's no
Mhm.
different to me than like I
And
said,
cancer.
diabetes. Yeah,
Yeah.
anything. It's just part of our body. And so when you were going through it, who said to you like get help? Because it says like you self soothe, but how do you the loved ones that notice this change in behavior? Maybe even in adults, like how do because I'm thinking of a particular person. Like how did you come to the conclusion that you could get help from someone, or how did
I
your
I finally realized that I needed to get help. just when
Mm.
everything came to that screeching halt and I knew that I had was not well. I said, you know, I've been faking it long enough. I've been putting on the facade. I'm not okay. It was me who finally said, I'm not fine. I'm tired of
Yeah.
saying I'm fine. I'm
Good.
tired of saying everything's okay. I'm not okay. There's something
Yes.
that's not okay.
That's so brave. And who
Yeah.
did you tell?
I went and saw well, my sister's my best friend in the whole world. So my sister and she and I, you know, when I moved down to Missouri, I lived with her for 9 months and so started seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist and all that down there. So
That is so great. So then do they help you? Like that was my thing. What was the like what did it when you got finally like a label of something,
mhm.
was that like, oh,
It
I'm
was
not
it was helpful because then we could start trying the medications.
yeah.
And I've been through the gamut on medications, and finally, for about the past 8 years, I've been stable on my medication regime. It's been very helpful, but I went through the gamut on medications and just finding the ones that worked and finding the ones that kept me stable, and yeah, it's a trial and error thing. I mean, it's not I've been hospitalized 6 times.
Wow,
So,
and what happens, honey, when you this is thank you so much for sharing this. I know this is gonna help so many people.
mhm,
What how do you know? Like, what's the that for me, that's always the first thing. Like, what you after you had like I had a, like I call it like the nervous breakdown. For me, it was just like a breakdown. I don't even know.
mhm,
But then I recovered. But it was just like all that stress. I think
mhm.
when you can finally stop, your body's like, okay, now you're gonna get it. Now you
Yep,
can recover because you've completed all your tasks. Because when you're focused on the tasks, you get them
mhm,
right? And then the body's like, you're done. Now you said after this, long enough, right?
mhm.
And then you hit that point, and then you went and got help. But like, if somebody's struggling with this, what are some signs like that you would say, hey, go see somebody. Like if you feel
Just
tired, you.
unrelenting depression, maybe suicidal thoughts,
Mhm,
thoughts of self-harm. Just that's
mhm.
when you really need to go to the ER and say, "Look, I need some help." Yeah,
And
just
and do you like what's kind of a thought pattern? Like if someone's like they just want to sleep all the time, or they
want to
just
sleep all the time. They've lost interest in things, or maybe they're not sleeping enough. I mean, some people don't know that depression can cause hyposomnia, insomnia, where they don't sleep at all, and so um, decrease in appetite, not wanting to eat, just laying around all day, not having any interest in anything. Those are the signs of depression, and
okay.
yeah.
And then what when you're manic, what does it feel like?
It feels like you're on top of the world. I mean, you just feel
Mm,
great. Everything feels great. And like I said, you make impulsive decisions. That's usually what triggers me is I'll start spending money and I'll
yeah,
be like, "Yeah, I want to go shopping. Let's go shopping." And
yeah,
so my husband has had to learn to deal with that. Like I said, I've been pretty stable for a while and I'll have maybe hypomanic episodes. Like the medicine doesn't make it a straight line. It just makes it
yeah,
so your ups and downs are just not so bad. But yeah, I'll notice hypomanic episodes where I'm just like, let's go spend some money. Let's go do this. I won't sleep
yeah.
as much, or I won't I'll do, 10,000 things in a day, or I just talk really fast, or I've just got all sorts of ideas just bursting out of me that I just have to share with everybody. So, he's kind of learned to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, that's so great. That's such great advice. I because when you're in it, right?
Hmm.
You could diagnose it because I think people don't we don't talk about it enough. That's why I'm so excited that you're talking about it. I love how life works, right? Like we're
Hmm.
coming always to talk about like what is success and how do we find success in our life and success, mental illness, like mental wellness is
Is
success, right?
success. That's
When
the
you
biggest success of my life.
yes, and that's why I think through our pain we have our greatest gain, and I believe that
Yes,
those are our gifts. Like going through those trials are so we can pull other people up out of the ditches.
for sure.
Because when we step up out of the ditch and we're like, "Whoo, get that mud off our feet" or whatever, it's like, "I see you. This is how I did it. Here's my hand. I'm gonna help you climb up out of that mud."
For sure.
So that's why thank you for sharing this like climbing out of the mud moment because a lot of people aren't brave enough to talk about it, and I don't know why.
Because of the stigma, but I've always just been a big advocate for talking about mental illness, especially mental illness in children. I mean, there are a
Yeah.
lot of children out there struggling with anxiety and there
Yeah.
are a lot of like teenagers that have anxiety that, might be too afraid to talk to their parents about it. And I just think we need to get the stigma to go away.
Well, that's like teachers are so important, tutors are
Hmm.
so important, anyone that have contact with our children because sometimes they open up differently. I always say,
Hmm.
I'm the mom. I know you're not going to listen. I always joke.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just mom. I never
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. What do I know?
And like then someone will tell them like, thank God for that person. But
Yeah.
how do we as parents, if you because you're in there with them on that intimate level when you're tutoring them, how do we as parents pick up if our kids are anxious or like what are the little micro signs that maybe you can educate us on that you've learned?
Um, I can tell when my kids are getting anxious, just they'll get more fidgety, especially if it's a topic we're talking about, they get more fidgety, they avoid eye contact, they'll start to kind of move around in place or maybe pace a little, especially if it's a difficult topic we're talking about. I didn't know that my son had anxiety until he, thank goodness, came forward and told me that he wasn't comfortable in, places with a lot of people, and he just wasn't doing well in his classes because there were so many people. So, he had the wherewithal to come forward and tell me, "Look, this makes me uncomfortable." So,
Yeah, it's so interesting too how the mind perceives different situations as threatening or comfortable. And like you
mhm.
were saying, depending on the state where you are, like I've had friends that have been schizophrenic, bipolar, the whole gamut. And, and when they're in medication, thank God for people dedicated to developing things for
Yes.
helping the mind because we are a big chemical factory.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
so I'm curious too, as your background in nutrition, there you've probably studied. Isn't it interesting? I always think food is medicine as well. We can get good food, right?
If we can get good food, for sure.
And are there things too that you notice, like in food, that help as well?
Sure, if I would take the time to eat a healthier diet, I'm sure I would feel a lot better. But
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that just kind of eats on the go. I'm so busy, like I can't sit still. I've never been able to sit still. I'm just a go, go, go person. So I just kind of grab and go, grab and go, grab and go. So if I took the time to eat a healthier diet, I'm sure I would feel a lot better.
I love the combination of the things that we learn. Wow, thank you for sharing that. And
You're
so
welcome.
what advice would you have right now if you feel like if somebody is in that place where they just don't want to get out of bed or they're like they because maybe when they're in that they don't even have the strength sometimes to ask for help, right? They
Right,
just want to be
right.
left alone.
They do, and I
Mm.
would say seek that help. It's worth it. It's so worth it to get well. It's just so worth it.
Yeah, what's the difference that you experienced from before when you didn't have the medication to the finding the medication? You were saying the lows and highs aren't as severe, but like, is your focus better? Is
Oh,
your
yes. Oh, yes. My focus is better. I'm not nearly as irritable. Like I said, I'm not as impulsive.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
sleep better. Sleep is so crucial to mental health. I mean, without sleep, my mental health goes out the window. So I sleep
Mhm.
better. I focus better. I'm more organized. I mean, it's imperative. Like, I joke with my husband about, okay, I'll just stop taking my medication. And he's just like, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. So,
Well, God bless him too. It is a family struggle because
mhm,
it's like when someone's suffering from an addiction or someone's suffering from a tragic moment, accident that they're overcoming, are these shifts in personality
mhm,
is the people that you love because you can't fight the battle, right?
mhm.
What would you say to people who are family members of someone who's struggling? Like, how do we best support them?
Be patient. Sometimes we just can't help it
Yeah.
and be understanding, but also be encouraging. Just,
That's
be encouraging that this too shall pass. This too
okay.
shall pass. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when someone's depressed, that's always my big concern with those suicidal tendencies. Like
Yep.
I've been I've been friends of someone before, and I always thought, do I when do you know to Baker Act or not? Like it's so scary because you don't know how low is the low. And I've run a suicide hotline before. And it's just like,
And when somebody's talking about suicide, obviously you want to talk to them and, remind them that it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But, if they're truly talking about suicide, you get them the help that they need. Absolutely. You just don't mess around with that. That's just not
yeah,
something worth messing around with, in
it
my
is.
mind anyway.
No, I'm with you, but I always think like, when is the time? You know, is it
Hmm.
worth losing the friendship and you might save their life, or is it right?
Yes.
To me, it's a,
Yes.
yeah. To me, it's a yes. But
Yes.
sometimes it's just hard to know,
It
right?
is. It
When
is.
when to make the call, and then but the consequences. I'd rather be wrong and save a life.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, well, wow, I love how life works. I just love it. You
I
know,
do
all
too.
the people listening, we don't even know who you reached, right? At this
Right.
moment, just
Right.
talking about it. So then coming back around, so that's so beautiful of a testament that you're living with this and touching all these lives. And you're taking that and using it to educate people. And then you also like, I'm so curious, like how your story then after you had the breakdown and then you come down to Missouri, then you come to Arkansas. By the way, I went to Mizzou, and so I grew up in living all over Missouri. I lived in Illinois growing up, but then after Mizzou I went to like Boonville and Fayette and all Columbia, all the areas in
Yeah.
Missouri. So now you've settled in Arkansas. What do you guys farm? I'm just curious.
We farm chickens for Tyson.
Oh,
So, yeah.
that's amazing.
Hmm.
So what do you have a name of your farm, or do you sell the
Sam's Farm.
Sam's Farm?
Yep.
Okay. So,
That's how
so
I came up with Sam's Tutoring.
so I'm just curious. So I know I'm such a farm girl at heart, so I'm always curious. Like, if you farm chickens, then does someone come collect the eggs, or do you like
No,
you
we
guys?
farm meat chickens.
Oh, meat chickens.
Yeah,
So that
broilers.
and then do you sell? Like, do they come in on the truck and bring them off to the processing plant, or I don't
Yep.
know the names of it. Okay.
Yep. Yep. They bring us the baby chickens, we raise them, and then they come take them.
Oh, that's so interesting. See, I
Hmm.
don't think people would think about even either. I know there's a
No,
detour,
people
but
don't think about where their food comes from.
no, not so. How many chickens does a chicken farm usually have? Like, what's a regular chicken farm?
About 68,000.
So how many big barns do you have to have to put
Four
60?
four huge barns.
Wow, I can't even imagine 68,000. So then is it like on automatic feeders? Like do you have
Hmm.
or do you guys because I like grew up helping dairy farmers and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but I've
no.
never been on a chicken farm. I've
Yep, they have automatic feeders and waterers, and we just watch them and, yeah, take care of them. It's our job to raise them to a
oh,
7-pound bird.
okay. Oh, that's so interesting. So they never get to the egg laying stage?
No, no.
Okay. So coming from Sam's farm, I might have a chicken breast coming from Sam's farm.
You just might.
That's so cool. Interesting. Okay. So we've got a farmer, we've got a mental health advocate, we've got a singer, we've got a nutritionist. See, we live when people my mom's always like, Amy, I don't know how to tell people what you do. And I grow people and businesses. I grow companies. Here's what I found. Siri's iPad. I'm not talking to you, Siri.
I love when that happens.
So my mom's always like, I don't know how to say what you do. And I'm like, because I've grown so many different industries. And I love
Mhm.
that we're a plethora of all these life experiences that make us like so fun and you can relate to so many different people. But walking you as Sam's tutor, you would never know the depth of all the things that made you blend into this beautiful person. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of the history and all the things that you've done.
You're
So
so welcome.
coming back, falling in love, getting in Arkansas, and out of the need, you started and loving the kids and
Yes.
substituting. You saw the need for extra help.
Yes, so we needed some extra income on the farm, and so it started with VIP Kid, where you teach English to
I
Chinese
did
students.
that.
Yes,
Really
yes,
cool because I'm always up at like 4. I'm like, what can I do? So I did the Q kids too.
yes. I started with VIP Kid and taught English to Chinese students, and then I got into varsity. Well, I'm not going to say their name. I got into a professional tutoring company and did that for 3 years, and then I just continued to get frustrated because this professional tutoring company charges so much and
Mm,
then pays their tutors so little, and I was just like, I understand that they have a bottom dollar to make, and I understand that there's overhead costs, but I'm the one providing the service. Like, I
Mhm.
need to be paid more for what I'm doing. And my husband over and over again kept telling me, Grace, start your own tutoring company. Grace,
Yeah,
start your own tutoring company.
good
You could
hubby.
do this. He said, you could do this. You could charge less for number one so that these parents can actually afford tutoring. And number
Yeah.
two, you would make more. And so finally I took the leap. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I went for it and I charge half what the professional tutoring companies charge and I make twice what I used to make, and it's just been such a blessing. I mean, I just absolutely love it because it was at the other tutoring company that I realized I just love this job. I absolutely love it. These kids are amazing, and it just I just fell in love with it. There's
Okay.
not a day that goes by that I don't just love going to work.
I love hearing that. So, okay, because there's so many pivotal points in there. Because I work with entrepreneurs. So we teach a course called Wisdom Conversion. So we help women over 40 like pull their gifts out, package it into online business, right?
Hmm.
Because I want to be able to work from my computer anywhere in the world. And I want to free that with other women as well. And the reason I share that is because every day I'm working with beautiful women who like getting them to the point to believe in themselves to
Hmm.
take the leap. That's the biggest part. And I'm listening as you're saying, your hobby going, you can do this, you can do this. And sometimes I notice as a coach too, like believing in someone else is the catalyst to help
Hmm.
them believe in themselves. And I like how you were saying earlier with the mental, someone struggling as a family person, we support them by encouraging them
Yes.
while that encouragement is so important in life, and I think that's missing because there's a lot of you can't do this negativity because of the fear of other people who aren't living their dreams,
Yes.
and that your husband stepped up and said you can do this, helped you believe in yourself. Because I was thinking, okay, family members, if you see that gifting, that unique gifting in one of your family members, encourage them to take the leap,
For sure.
because
For
you're
sure.
going to be blessed 100 times. Because are you more fulfilled and happier than you've ever been doing
Oh,
what you
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
and,
And
and
it just, even on the long days, I may be tired and I may be worn out, but I'm not grumpy. I mean, I'm just tired and worn out because it's been a long day, but I still love my job.
oh and so how have you liked like the business, and there's so many questions I have. I'm so excited about this because like so that inspired you because you just had you never had an opportunity to tutor before, and after you're doing the tutoring
Hmm.
it inspired you like, hey, I like this.
Hmm.
So it wasn't necessarily as, do you think this is your calling now that you're in it?
Um, I don't know about, I don't know how I feel about saying calling, but am I good at it? Yes, I believe I'm good at it. I do. I think I have a niche here for sure. Like, I relate to my students really well. I relate to their parents really well, and I'm seeing positive improvements. So I definitely think I'm good at what I do.
Mhm.
Um, I do believe that I have found something that I can make a difference in, for
Oh,
sure.
I like that.
And
Yeah.
that's what's important to me. I feel like I reach these kids and help them and make a difference in their lives, and that is important to me. I want to be able to impact their lives.
So it's mission driven, you
It
feel,
is
right?
mission driven. It's totally mission driven. Yeah.
Mhm.
How can I help these kids?
When you were a kid, I'm just curious, did you like school or did you ever have a tutor or a
School was a breeze for me when I was a kid. It was my sister that wanted to be the educator. Like, my whole family is full of educators. My
Oh,
grandma was an
really?
educator, my aunt was an educator, my great grandparents were educators. So like we're full of teachers in my family. And it's
Wow.
my sister who knew when she was like 7 that she was going to grow up and be a teacher. And she followed that path. She's a kindergarten teacher. She's been a kindergarten teacher for
Aw.
22 years. So, there's just educators everywhere in my family. So I guess maybe I was just born to fall into this role eventually. I'm not sure, but
Part of your genetics, your
I
DNA.
guess I guess so.
So how long have you been having your own tutoring company now? How long has Sam's Tutoring been around?
Sam's Tutoring has been around now since January, and it has just taken off. It's just become very successful. I'm so blessed.
I love it. So school is a so did you have a struggle in school? Like, cause it's interesting. I try to tell people sometimes because they're like, for example, if they say, I could never be a tutor or, they're struggling with that imposter syndrome,
Hmm.
how did you have the confidence to be like, I got this?
Um, after, well, VIP Kid helped build that confidence in the English for sure. And then when I started with the other company and started working with the math and realized, okay, I realized where my limitations were and about how far up in math I wanted to go, and just realized that I could do this and I could reach these kids and I could help them. I mean, you really, it comes back to you. It really
Mm,
comes back to you. You don't have to be a math professor to tutor, eighth grade math. If you've
yeah.
had eighth grade math, it comes back to you. It really does. And so I stop at eighth grade. I'm most comfortable in K through eight because I didn't go to college for math. And so
Yes.
I don't want to tutor above into a level where I'm having to study the concepts before I tutor the student in the concepts. I feel like that defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah.
I want to tutor in the area that I'm comfortable with, that I feel like I can help the student the most with. So that's why I stick with K through 8. But
Mm.
um,
It's so I'm curious, like when the kids come to like how do they find you? How do they come to you? Like what would they a parent see? Is it a grade or a teacher recommendation, like or the kid
Um,
hates
I've
the subject or
I've gotten a few through a teacher recommendation, like through my kids' grade school. I've gotten a few through Facebook, just finding me on Facebook. I've had a few through recommendations through old clients that recommended me to them. So it's been just multiple ways.
yeah, because well, if I'm a parent and like what and I see like do you have like the benchmarks or is it like an hourly thing?
It's an
They
hourly thing. Yep,
okay,
I tutor them for 1 hour and then however many times a week they desire.
okay, and what do you notice when the kids come to you in that on some do some of the kids have multiple subjects that you tutor them in, or do they usually come for one?
They usually come for one. Like I have one student that I'm his English teacher. He's homeschooled, and so I'm his
Okay.
English teacher 4 days a week, and I just absolutely love it. We have a curriculum that we use, and we go through it, and we're learning English. That's what
Yes.
we do 4 days a week. And then I have another student that I work with her in English and math. We meet twice a week. One day we do English, day we do math. So it just really varies.
And over your tutoring career, have you noticed a change? Like, were you pre-COVID tutoring?
I was doing VIP Kid pre-COVID and then started I started with the tutoring company right kind of towards the end of COVID. So I
Okay.
think that's right when they started pushing the virtual tutoring. And I love virtual tutoring. I think it's the best because
It
you can
is.
I have students in Pennsylvania, I have students in Arizona and New Mexico, and I just think it's amazing. It's awesome that I can get online and tutor a student in another state.
Right? Or talk on a podcast and get to know.
Yes, exactly.
So how do parents that's my big thing, like, what are the warning signs that your kids need tutoring? I know it sounds like an obvious question, but I don't think it always is because
It's
kids can master
not.
things
One
quickly
big
and
thing
really far.
One big thing is their confidence level. And that is one thing that I strive to improve in my students is their confidence level. If they're
Oh,
not confident in a subject,
yeah.
they're not going to want to do it. I mean, they have to be confident in the subject they're learning. So that is the first and foremost thing I focus on with my students is boosting their confidence. It's as simple as, "Hey, that was a really good try. That was a really good job you just did. That was good math you just did." Boosting their confidence so that they can believe in themselves so that they can do the work. And so if you notice that your student is struggling with confidence in a subject, that could
Mm.
be a big warning sign that they don't feel like they have it anymore, that they might need help with that subject. Because if their confidence declines, then they aren't believing in themselves and they may start questioning their own abilities and then their performance is going to go down. So I always look at confidence first.
Oh yeah, that is a baseline in everything, right? And
Mhm.
I think you are such a blessing because, like I said before, when I was doing in my hypnosis practice, I would call it. People would be like, "I don't understand why my family member could be the," and I'm like, "It's called." I made up a name for it because I couldn't find it, and I said I call it the family filter. That we sit in we sit in the house and we hear that voice so much that you start to tune it out and not
Mhm.
respect it and not and that's where sometimes I think tutors are amazing too, because our children need to hear that they are special from someone else.
Mhm.
And a lot of teachers, God bless teachers, it is such a hard profession, but some of them are so burnt out and they don't have that belief to go out and start their own business. They have a lot of skills and things, but they're doing it because they're afraid, but they're so over it.
Yeah.
I actually, believe it or not, got my secondary ed degree from a college in Illinois because I thought I love kids. I want to help high school kids, though. I'm the
Mhm.
math science high school person. So I only did my student teaching though. But the teacher that I worked with, she was the volleyball coach, and she had pets, and she was nice to them, but so unkind to the rest of the class.
Oh.
And I understand. So the kids, when I came in, the kids that were really doing bad because she wasn't paying attention or different things, they soared. And I got so many compliments and things like from parents saying,
Mhm.
wow, my daughter hated science before you came along. And I think that's why get your kids to tutors. If they're not liking a subject, I love that, Grace, because I can totally get behind that concept. That love that you're pouring into them is priceless.
Mhm.
One of the coaches told me once with my son, he said, he's a basketball coach. He said, there's a saying, pay to keep your kids on the court, and you're actually paying to keep them out of court. And
Yes.
I think the same is true for tutoring. If Because we don't know, even coaching at the highest level, some coaches, there's just a personality conflict,
Yeah.
or there's a perceived personality conflict. Sometimes the student just perceives the teacher doesn't like them, but it's not true. The teacher might just have a different personality than the styles they're used to learning from. And if
Mhm.
you can get them to a tutor, their whole life can turn around, just
For
like you're saying,
sure.
that belief in them. And man, Grace, I'm so excited that you're doing this online as well, so people can find you and reach out to you. What have you noticed, like, the turnaround, the average turnaround time? So like if somebody coming to you with an F almost failing, and
Mhm.
then you can get them around, like what have you?
Well, it depends on the subject, and I had a student within about 6 months raise his state test scores like 24 points in math. So
Oh
that
my.
was a big one.
Yeah.
I don't with me, some of my students, it's not necessarily about the grades. It's about like I have a student that I've worked with now for 3 years, 3.5 years, yeah, 3.5 years. She came to me, she was in fifth grade, fifth grade, fifth grade, and she had a first grade reading level. She has a learning disability. And
Oh, okay.
so, yeah,
Okay.
she had a first grade reading level. And so we worked and we worked and we worked, and now she's in eighth grade and she's reading at a sixth grade level. I mean, so in 3.5 years, we got her up 4 reading levels. I mean,
That's
that to me is success.
that's total success. Yeah.
Yes, it's not necessarily about the A or the B because she's in
Yeah.
resource reading. It's
Yeah.
about how many grade levels did we improve,
That's
you know?
incredible.
Yeah.
Yes. I think, even do you work with some kids who are gifted as well and need extra
I
challenge?
have. I
Okay.
have. Like, I worked with a 6-year-old. He was in first grade who was doing fourth grade level math. I mean, I love those kind of challenges. Those are so fun for me. I love the gifted little kids that we get to work on, you know, algebra, and he's in second grade. I think that's the coolest challenge there could be. I mean, that's so fun for me. I just love stuff like that. I love the gifted kids. They're so fun to be around.
Yeah, every kid is so unique, and I love how you speak about them. You can tell you really love them first and above all else. And I think, is there enough love? Like if you can't. I got in trouble because my kids would come and hug me when I was student teaching, and actually the
Mhm.
principal and that teacher brought me in the office and they were like, you can't hug the kids. And I said, you know what? fire me now, because I think kids, if they're gonna hug me, I'm not gonna not hug them back. They will just try to
No.
scoop you up in high school, these big.
Yes.
It doesn't matter the package of the body. You know what I mean? Sometimes the biggest dudes are the youngest at heart, and me,
Yes.
because
For
who's loving.
sure.
I'm like, I'm never going to stop a child and deny them love,
No.
and
No.
whatever. Some people need physical touch. Some people need gifts for love, right? Some people, the five love languages, acts of service,
Yes.
and they all express it differently. And in the tutoring, you're one on one with them. You become their confidant. And
Mhm.
so when people are thinking, because I think there's a lot of people that you're going to touch. I don't think I know you're going to touch a lot of people through all this sharing that you're giving. And if there's other women or people out there that would like to start a tutoring business, like what were some of the challenges that you faced while you were starting it? And like, how did those experiences shape you maybe as a business owner?
I think the biggest challenge was just the fear of getting clients. How
Mhm.
do I get my students? And so it's just a lot of referrals, it's word of mouth, it's talking to my kids' school, it's my husband out there talking to people.
That's
So
good.
it's word of mouth. That was the biggest fear. I mean, I knew how to tutor. That
Yeah.
that was, and then the other challenging aspect was finding a learning platform that I liked. I wasn't a big fan of Zoom, so I needed to find an actual tutoring platform that worked for me, and so I
What's
had to try a few out.
well, just to save people a headache, what's one of the platforms that you like for tutoring?
I like Merit Hub. It's called Merit Hub, and it works really well for me. And the kids can create an account and log in, and it works really well for me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great, because after the podcast, when we do some, we'll put your links in it
Okay.
so
Okay.
people can find you if they need a tutor, and that, the platform, if there's people that have small businesses and they are tutoring already, maybe you've
Yes,
just
that would be great.
learning in a
It's a great learning platform.
yeah, and that's why I love podcasts, because we can share so much. And we can help. This is silly thing, shameless plug, but that's what we do is we help people grow online businesses. So
Yes.
we know how to help with get their marketing, back to them to grow their businesses. That's like my passion. I'm like, you have a good service, you have a good skill. People are asking, in fact, on my whiteboard over there, it says, you are the solution. And I always think, there's somebody out there going, please, my son needs help. Where do I go? And then we match make. Here's Grace. She will. So let's go to your journey a little bit, because this is a field that requires passion and
Mhm.
patience. And can you give us another story of a student whose success reaffirmed your decision? Because you
Absolutely.
skipped the four, but I like hearing
Absolutely.
success stories.
So, I have a little guy that he suffers from Asperger's, which is a
Yeah.
form of autism. And he is just, I just love logging in with him twice a week. And he just reaffirms why I do this job because he had another tutoring company tell him that he would never be able to read. And I have him reading. He is reading CVC words. He is reading, words like mat and cat and hat, and he's reading those words now.
Oh,
And it just reaffirms why I do this because you don't say that to a student. You don't tell a student's mom that they're never going to be able to read because of his disability, and he's reading, and
oh,
it's just it's just amazing to me. He's just an inspiration. He's
Miss
so
Grace,
awesome.
thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
For all those kids that have been told they can't, and you guys find Miss Grace. Okay, you got another one? I love these little success stories.
I do have another one. I have my little guy that I've been tutoring for about 2.5 years now, and he was in third grade when we first started, and he was at less than a first grade reading level. And so we worked on phonics, a lot of phonics, and a lot of reading. And now he's going into fifth grade, and he is at his reading level now. He is a fifth grade reader. Yeah.
I'm just celebrating you. I mean, teachers. Like I was one of my friends is a teacher, and she works with the special needs kids. She
Mhm.
has 32 students in her class. How
Yes.
can you possibly, because the district misjudged, Florida's growing so fast, they misjudged the number of teachers they were going to need for the enrollment. And
Mhm.
even though the school physically can take more, they don't have enough teachers to
Mhm.
fulfill the demand. So
Mhm.
can you imagine 32 kids every
No,
day?
she needs a para.
Yeah, and average, and they're middle schooler, middle
Oh my
school.
gosh.
Yeah, they're older kids, and a lot of them are they actually are from other countries. They're immigrants,
Oh
children.
no.
So they're English. Like she's getting like I think
English
she's
is a second language.
yeah she's getting, but and some of them have learning disabilities on top of having language disabilities. So she's
Oh,
got like by the end of the day she's just worn out.
she's
This
fried.
yeah,
Oh,
so
yes.
they all need a help, extra person and tutoring, and I think she was getting like 18 kids from Brazil, like 18 or 48 they were just getting from to their school. Like the amount of people don't know what's really happening in our school
No,
system.
no.
And the amount of different people that are coming here, and she's like, I don't care where they come from. I don't care what their life is. My job is to get them from here to here. And I'm like, I love that attitude. She's
Yes.
so dedicated to these kids. But gosh, if she had someone that she could refer to like you that could help especially the ones in need. So
Mhm.
I'm really grateful. I'm gonna put you out to all my teachers that I know too, since it's online. And I'm thinking, education is constantly evolving. And
Mhm.
it's a little bit scary even now in our school system, the different agendas that are
Ah,
being
yes.
pushed. And so how do you like stay ahead? Like what are some of the things that you have to do to keep staying on top of it so that you make sure that you meet, the needs of today's students?
The
What do you
truth is the truth is I'm pretty old school.
Yeah,
I'm
makes
pretty old
sense.
I'm pretty old school in my teaching, I stick to the basics. When it comes to math, I stick to the basics of fundamentals. I teach multiplication and division the way it's supposed to be taught. I
Mhm.
teach the order of operations the way it's supposed to be taught. I stick to the fundamentals. I don't stick to all this weird stuff that they teach now. I go back to the way I learned it
Yeah,
because that's what worked.
it does.
That's what worked. And if that helps my kid understand it better, then that's the way I want them to learn it.
I
And
love
with
that.
reading, I stick to the fundamentals. I stick to phonics. I stick to CVC words. I stick to the basics. I stick to vocabulary and spelling. Those are what are going to help you read better. I mean, when it
100%. It's not trendy. It's
no, no, it's just it's what works. I mean,
yes.
I don't get out there and learn the latest, like you said, trends. And I mean,
Mhm.
I like the science of reading. I do like the science of reading. That's the latest thing, but that even sticks to the basics of phonics and CVC words and just the basics. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what gets it done.
But you nailed it right there. I like that you see what's out there and you're like, yeah, no, this is trendy. You have the discernment to say, sorry, I know this works. This is proven. I'm open to new methods. And until someone can prove to me that their method is better than what's working, I'm going with what's
Exactly.
it's like skills and
Exactly.
drills. I think of that in sports. You never, even though you're a basketball superstar, they're always going out and they're hitting their free throws and they're dribbling. They never stop.
Exactly right. You never stop the foundational stuff.
Yeah. So, what do you believe sets your tutoring then apart from other tutoring services?
Number one, my compassion and my dedication to improving their confidence. That is my number one goal. Just getting through to the student and making them feel better about themselves and what they're doing. And number two, I'm very energetic. I'm very energetic. I'm upbeat. I try and make it fun. I try and have fun with my students. I don't want them to come to tutoring and be bored. I mean,
Yeah.
what fun is that? What
Right.
fun is spending an hour with somebody who's boring? So I try and keep it fun. I'm empathetic because I've been through so much. That's so much different than being sympathetic. I feel like I'm an empathetic person,
Mhm.
and my students do open up to me and talk to me about things, which I feel is so important.
Yes.
If you need somebody to listen to you, I'll listen to you. Absolutely. If we need to take 3-minute break from what we're doing because you have something that you need to tell me, then tell me. And I
Yes.
listen to them. I mean, that's huge
Mhm.
right there. These kids need to
Huge.
feel validated. They
Yes.
want to feel validated in what they're doing. What was important to them? I always start my sessions with, "How are you today? How was your weekend? Did you do anything fun?" I make that connection. That's so important. I want them to feel validated.
It is so important. That's the one thing that I've noticed when working with kids now in this later generation is that they don't connect very easily. They connect through their phone, they connect through
Mhm.
things like that, but they're losing the skill of the listening, like you just said, and the communicating.
Yes,
They're losing that ability to hold long conversations because they say
they
a couple
are.
on their phone. And the art of communication, what you're teaching them is priceless. Now, how do you build the trust with the parents? Because as a parent that's going to send their child to tutoring, that's a very intimate session. And
Mhm.
how do I know, that this tutor, this is maybe for thinking if we're looking for a tutor too. How do we know if we have a good tutor? Like, because trust is crucial. And
Trust is crucial.
I always think of this in business. I teach people how to find a good accountant, how to find, like, I'm like, vet us. Why are we good at what we do in
Yeah.
online business? Can we walk the talk? Right? How do you vet a good tutor? Like, maybe we can have them come to your website or something, and we can have a sheet for them.
Well,
Uh,
I do have FAQs on my website just
yeah.
about me and my experience, but the first thing I do when I have a potential client is I call them. I call them and speak, voice to voice with them. Let them hear my voice. Let them hear the authenticity in my voice. I talk to them about their child. I want to know about their child. I want to know what's important to their child. What are some likes and dislikes of their child? What is their child struggling with? How does their child learn? What do they think their child needs to work on? I want to learn about their kid through them, and I'm not going to do that through text messages. I want to do it face to face.
I
So that
love
should tell them something right there that I'm going to pick up the phone and call them and speak with them
it.
about their child. I'm not
Beautiful.
going to do it electronically. I'm going to do it through a voice call.
And I'm curious how many parents watch when you're tutoring.
None.
Okay.
Except for the little kids like that might need help because I literally tutor a 2-year-old right now. And so mom helps with that because we're working on things like ABCs and he needs help being redirected to the
Yeah,
iPad and things like that. But with the little kids like
that's
my
so cool.
Asperger's kid, the mom helps and with a couple of my other kids, mom will be there helping with the little kids. But for the most part, my big kids, it's just me and the kid.
So now, wow, I didn't even know they start at 2. So what? So you're actually pre-K as well.
Yes, yes, I do pre-K.
So because earlier I know we said K through 8.
Yeah,
So
I forget.
you're pre-K through 8.
Mhm,
So starting as young as 2 years old, you're working with the kids.
mhm.
So what age do you think it gives them a jump start?
At the age at which they're able to start communicating really and start learning their letters and colors and numbers. I mean, that could be different for every child. I usually like my grandson just turned 3 and I just gave him his first set of flashcards and I just ordered ABC Mouse for his iPad. So
Yeah.
I think he's at the age now where he can start putting it all together. But 2-year-olds can learn their letters. 2-year-olds
Yeah.
can learn to count. 2-year-olds can absolutely learn their colors. So,
So cool.
yeah,
I know my
it's
friend did
fun too.
the baby sign language with her daughter.
Mhm.
And that was so amazing to me. Her daughter couldn't speak yet, but she could sign already. Like
Uh-huh.
she could say milk or juice or potty and I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I love
Yeah.
that. How
Yeah.
brilliant they are in these little minds we don't even know untapped, right?
Yes. Yes.
So cool. Well, as you're looking to the future and your hopes and goals for Sam's tutoring, where do you see it in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a great question. See, I'd be happy to just maintain my 23 to 25 clients and just be stable. And my husband's like, you got to grow. You got to grow this business, hire another tutor. We got to keep it going. So I'm kind of at that point now where I don't know what to do because I'm getting fuller. I'm getting more students to the
Yeah.
point that soon I'm going to need to hire another tutor.
Well,
So
maybe this is a call. If you're listening to this podcast
maybe,
and you know a fantastic tutor, and I even have like 2 in mind already. If
yeah.
you have a fantastic tutor, you can reach out to Grace and we'll put her information. So you never know how life
You
works.
never know how life works
So
because, yeah, if things blow up much more, I'm gonna need another
you
tutor.
know what, girl? I always say not if. I think it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
because you got it all. And if I was a parent, I would totally trust you to send my child for tutoring. You can tell even in this interview how your heart is so in it, in your how
Thank
your
you.
face, your whole body language just radiates. I love what I'm doing and I love these kids. So how do you see the role of tutoring evolving? Because especially
Oh.
with this online education, I feel like yes, online is great, thank God for it, and there's so many benefits. But my and I'm trying to say this with tact. So during COVID, I learned a lot about the teachers that were teaching my
Mhm.
okay, I'll say my children, because I
Mhm.
don't want to call out any teacher, but my child would say, because I had a couple, I have three kids. My child would say, "Mom, my teacher's not good," and I was like, I could, you think that's just your kid complaining, and
Mhm.
then I listened to them in their Zoom session, and I was like, wow, she's really not good. How is she a teacher? And it was amazing to me. So I was like, if I could have got a tutor at the time, he's like, I got this, I got this. But with the rise of online education, and we don't know the teachers like we used to. We don't have the schools are more on lockdown than they used to be. We used to be volunteering. They required us to be 30 hours in the schools. We got to know the teachers and the staff a little better. But now it's kind
Mhm.
of like we don't know them. We don't know what they're teaching, and this new, educational push and these new learning technologies. Like, how do you see the role of tutoring evolving in alignment with that?
I think online tutoring's really going to increase. Number one, I think we're starting to see more homeschoolers.
Mm,
And I think I tutor four homeschool families. And so I think that homeschoolers are going to start recruiting more online tutors just for that extra feedback and that extra help, maybe once a week to say, make sure my kid's on track, make sure that, they're, lining up academically where they need to be. So I can see that trend in homeschoolers, but I can
hmm.
just see it because our academic system is just starting to teach more and more to the test. That's all they do. They teach to the test. They print worksheets and they teach to the test. And
Yep.
I think parents want more than that. I think parents want their kids to actually be
Critical
academic.
thinking.
Yes, exactly right. And so I think that academic or online tutoring is going to grow.
I believe so as well. And you're right. I've seen a huge increase in homeschooling
Mhm.
because of the politics in the schools,
Mhm.
that they are wanting these foundation of good. Yeah, I just say there's a lot of influence in the schools that's not necessarily healthy
Yes, I
for
agree fully.
building the confidence and giving our children what they need to
I
succeed.
agree fully.
And not there's some great teachers and there's some great leaders, administrators, but they're struggling because they
Yes,
have
there's
to work
just
within a certain agenda or they
we've
get
got
lose the job.
we've gotten away from reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's amazing some of the things my own children have shared that have gone on in the school. And I thought I put them in a good school.
I know. I'm thankful I live in a rural area and my kids just go to a nice little rural school with good
Yeah.
rural values. And yeah, I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, but I'm thankful for you because you're reaching the kids that aren't able to live in those rural communities so they can get a taste of, goodness and belief and trust. So, do you have a personal mantra or a belief that keeps you motivated and focused on making, Sam's tutoring a success?
A personal mantra. Probably just you got this. Like that would be my personal mantra. You got this.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. We say that all the time in the office. Like, you got this. We got this. Together we stand. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
I love that. So this is very interesting to me, and I have this core belief that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our questions. And because hypnosis is all about reprogramming the subconscious mind, so the quickest way to do that, right, is to ask a question, and the subconscious provides. So what's one question that you often ask yourself to ensure that you stay on target for success?
Well, it's a question. Did I do my best? Did I did I
Mm.
do my best? That's very important to me. I just don't believe in in halfway work. If I'm going to do something, I want it to be my best work. And so,
Mhm.
um, just did I put my all into it?
Yeah.
Short of saying half, I just, I, did I, did I do everything I could?
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. That's how you can put your head down at night, right?
exactly right.
Ah,
Did I do all I could?
in our company, we say a lot, in On Target for Sex, we say, what did we do good today? And then for tomorrow, where do we want to improve?
Yeah,
So it's kind of like that.
exactly.
Like, did we do our best? Yes, we did our best. Now, where do we want to improve? There's a slight bit of improvement.
Yes.
So, since this is a girls' podcast, since we are kind of women uplifting women unconditionally, it's for women who are, know they have something more in them, but they may be afraid to have a bit, start their own company, or they're beginning in their company and they want to scale it, or, just those doubts and beliefs we love as girls to like get together and help each
Hmm.
other. Who was a female role model mentor that helped
Oh,
become the
my
woman that you are today?
my grandmother, she was amazing. She had her PhD in English. She got her PhD back when women, didn't get their
Yeah.
doctorates, and she was superintendent of schools, and she taught at the university, and just she was amazing. She is my inspiration.
Wow.
I miss her. I have a picture of her right up there. She
Aw.
watches over me. Yeah.
So, yeah, so from her, what do you hope to pass on to other women?
That it can be done. I mean, you can absolutely persevere, and the one major thing I learned from her is that academics is very important, and once you get it, it can't be taken away from you. So,
Mhm.
it really put the foundation of me of academics, and striving to do well in academics, but then sharing that academics. I mean, just a pursuit of academics is a good thing.
It is, right?
Yeah,
We have to keep growing.
yeah.
So, on that, what's one question that someone asked you that shifted your perspective in life?
It wasn't a question, it was a statement, and it changed the perspective of my whole life. And it was, you are not a victim. And I try and say that to
Mm.
so many people. It changed the whole outlook of my whole life when the day that I finally realized I was not a victim. It just changes everything. It gives you that power back. It gives you that control. It
Yeah.
just puts everything back in your hands when you realize you are not the victim of circumstances. You are not the victim of anybody else. You are not victim to anything. You have the power to do things. You have the control in your hands. I mean, it's huge.
It's
What a
huge.
revelation.
Shit, I'm in here with their
Yes,
yes, bring
what
it.
a revelation. And I try and teach that to so many people that have the victim mentality. Just drop it, leave
Mhm.
it, lose it. It will change your life.
Yes, yes. Ooh, where were you when someone told you that? Well,
Therapy.
yeah, in therapy. Okay, good. Yeah, I was wondering, like, what was happening in your life when you just had that? Like, what was the situation?
And it was just an epiphany. It just hit me. And I was just like, why didn't somebody tell me that sooner? Or why wasn't I ready to hear that sooner, maybe? Why
Mm.
wasn't I ready to hear that
Oh,
sooner?
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have
And
to
it,
be that right person in the right place at the right time sometimes, right?
correct, correct. And it changed everything. I remember the day and everything. It was life changing.
I love it. Thank you for that therapist.
Yes,
Give
yes,
those
very
for
much so.
Miss Grace now to pass those on. So what's the one oh yeah, so I kind of ask you this, but do you have any other question that you ask yourself that helps keeps you on target for success other than did I do my best?
Um, did I, have I eaten today?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I did because let me tell oh, when I get on something, I'm like, yep, I need food. I'm hungry.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's one question that you ask others then that helps them shift perspective?
Um, Are you done yet? Like, that's
Oh,
seriously a question I ask. Are you done yet? Are you done whining? Are you done complaining? Are you done with your pity party? Seriously, like when you're ready to grow up and stop whining and stop doing all the belly aching, then we can get on with this and we can actually do something
yes.
together. Like, really, are you done yet?
No, that's good. That's yes. I'm done. I I am ready to be victorious. And I want every parent out there, and possibly, like, there's people out there, even, have you tutored any adults? Because there's still adults that can't read.
I tutor graduate level nutrition students actually. So
Oh,
yes,
good.
yes. I've tutored three of them and I absolutely love it. I love the college population. So I could probably tutor physiology and anatomy. I love the graduate student nutrition classes. I could tutor undergraduate nutrition classes and undergraduate, like, probably chemistry classes, but I love the collegiate level too. I didn't even mention that, but yeah.
No, you did not. Okay, guys, so we're expanding. We just skip high school. We go from pre-K to eighth grade, so we need to adapt into Sam's tutoring. We're looking for a high school tutor.
Exactly right.
We go to university level because Miss
Yes.
loves them all, which she's so cute. So this is awesome, and that's what we'll put down here in the episode, like all the links and the things that you're looking for, and we'll link it back to your website so people can find you. Because I am so grateful for you and what you're doing for our future. Because there's nothing better than when people realize they have the power, like you said.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that does come through that education, through that belief, through those aha moments. I can. And what greater way to realize that than when you're tackling something challenging from school, or, some task that you've been assigned to that you have to learn, because you're not just teaching them a subject, you're teaching them how to solve problems.
Yes.
The subject that's been gifted to
Mhm.
you. That's what I always say. Everyone's a therapist. I'm like, my hairstylist, my waitresses, my tutors, my insurance people, like every single person I have on
Yes.
this show is some form of therapist. I always say, you have a QBLE, qualified by life experience. You are now a therapist. And because I believe that people come to us,
Mhm.
in that perfect order, so that we can bring out the best in them with whatever tools and skills that we have.
Yes, totally.
And through you, it's the label of tutoring. Here they come. And it's so great that you are doing that, because having confidence is priceless.
Yes.
Having the belief that you can conquer the challenges that are put in front of you so that you are the solution is amazing. And that you are out there doing that, Miss Grace. Thank your husband for pushing you for us.
I
Thank
love that.
for being the woman that would listen, that would take the action, and care about these kids enough to be brave and start your own business. We are so grateful. You are truly on target for success. And with that, is there anything you would like to leave us with?
I guess I would just leave you with you really can do it. It really is possible. Just go for it. Just go for it.
Let's just go for it. I love it. And we will. And so thank you again. So thank you for tuning in to On Target for Success. We look forward to having you back with another great, great guest. As you can see, they're amazing. And each week, as you listen, tune in, subscribe, like, and share, we're only going to keep getting these amazing women. And give a shout out to Miss Grace. Even if you don't need a tutor right now, let her know, that she's doing a great job. We need more people like her who are serving our community and making our world a better place. So, hugs, kisses, love, positive wishes, and thank you for tuning in.